Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the first of the new year, 2026. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. It has been a busy week. Rick and I had to kick this off until Friday to do the podcast because we wanted to get through the college football playoffs. We obviously had a holiday. Rick had a basketball game to do. I had basketball stuff to do. So here we are on a Friday. It's late in the week, but we're going to get to everything that I think we need to get to, Rick.
Yeah, I had some big Richard Skinner fans at the NKU game last night as we're recording this on Friday, asking me, hey, where's the podcast out? It's usually out on Thursday and we're not having. I'm like, well, we wanted to get through the game, so just give us an extra day here. We'll get it out. But yeah, I know there are some people sitting on pins and needles waiting for this one to appear. So hopefully it gets into your feed, and we'll start with the Bengals, Skinny. They won 37-14 against the Cardinals over the weekend. I wanted to start with this. Charlie Goldsmith actually had a tweet where he wrote that he believes that the Bengals would have won the AFC North had Joe Burrow not gotten hurt. He went on to say, it doesn't change that they need to improve their defense, but I just wanted to ask you about that statement. Do you agree with the notion that the Bengals would have won the AFC North had Joe Burrow stayed healthy this year?
No, I go back to those two games they lost. They shouldn't have lost to the Jets and Bears. That had nothing to do with offense and everything to do with defense. I don't think Joe Burrow was going to change it. I mean, unless you think Joe Burrow could have gotten you in the 50s in both of those games, then okay, I might buy that narrative. I will say this, and I wrote this after this past Sunday's game. The Baltimore game is going to look like the outlier of outliers maybe for a long time. For Joe Burrow, for the offense, for everybody included, there's still no explaining that week. There's no explaining that performance. But in the other four Joe Burrow starts since he came back, they've scored over 30 points on offense. It just proved to us what Sunday proved to us and probably Miami proved to us, and maybe even what Buffalo proved to us, is when this group is healthy, this is an elite offense. And you've got that to hang your hat on going into next season. And I don't think that's going to change what would have happened in the two games they lost. And all you have to do is turn those two games around. They'd be sitting at 8-8 in the moment, controlling their own destiny with a win over Cleveland. That's how razor thin this season was in the end. But I appreciate Charlie. I think Charlie does great stuff. I don't agree with that sentiment.
There was a lot of different stuff that came from the media sessions this week. Things that Joe Burrow said, Jamar Chase said, Dalton Reisner said. What was the most interesting thing said in the media sessions from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody's making this big deal of Burrow and Chase, talking about, things need to change. Well, of course, who doesn't know that? I mean, is that news? Man bites dog. I mean, right. Of course things need to change. I thought the fact that both Joseph Osai, Dalton Reisner said they want to come back. It may not be surprising for Dalton Reisner because the Bengals are the ones that did give him a chance late in the game, but he's played really well. And one of the things, I wrote a column last week of 5 things the Bengals kind of relitigating things they should have done in the offseason. And one of those was they waited too late to sign Dalton Reisner. He got forced into that first game when Lucas Patrick got hurt. Then he had to start the next two, and he clearly wasn't ready to start. He looked a mess. And that should be understandable. He had no training camp. And then when he kind of got to calm things down and finally get back in the lineup, he was ready to hit the ground running, and he's played really, really well. And I think he's a guy that you do prioritize re-signing in this offseason. So to me, it's the guys who said they want to be here. Listen, Joseph Osai might make a pretty good piece of change on the open market, and maybe make a good piece of change from the Bengals when all is said and done. We'll see. But I know a lot of people made the big deal of Burrow and Chase, and that's fine because it's your two stars who are saying that. But it's like, yeah, and who doesn't know that?
Well, here's the only thing about the Burrow and Chase commenting on the, I mean, presumably they were talking about the defense needs to get fixed.
Yes.
They didn't, said it's obvious, but we're not going to really comment on it basically. The main reason the defense sucked this year is because Joe Burrow went on his tirade last offseason to get all the offensive players signed. So, I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. I'm not saying the Bengals shouldn't have signed the guys that they signed on offense, but I'm not sure that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase need to be the ones railing against the franchise right now for, you screwed up the defense when, hey, they ignored the defense last offseason to sign all the guys you wanted them to sign. But get all those deals done.
But they still had some room to do some things on defense, and they had a way to redo the draft in a much better way than they did it. So they did screw some of that up. I mean, there's no question. I mean, they got Buffaloed into that 5-game winning streak, and the defense playing a little bit better and thinking a new voice, a new coordinator, run it back. We lost a bunch of close games. That's not going to happen again in 2025. We'll win those close games, and the defense will be better because of the new coordinator. And the gamble didn't pay off. And so now you have 2 seasons worth of data to say, okay, we need to fix these things. And if they don't, shame on them then. If you run this back again with primarily the same group of guys, shame on you. I don't think they will, because I do think they have money to spend on defense, and they will spend money on defense.
That's the thing. As frustrating as this season was, as frustrating as it is that it doesn't seem like there's going to be major changes when it comes to the coaches or the front office or whatever you want to see happen, probably isn't going to happen as it relates to change in the Bengals this offseason. I can easily, and I mean easily, Skinny, with zero faith in Duke Tobin and the Bengals' ability to figure this thing out, I can easily be talked into the notion that they could be in position to be a contender next year again. Like, they really are just a few defensive pieces away from being right where they need to be. So,
and that's what the offense has done the last couple of weeks. It's shown us again, when these guys are all healthy, it's an elite unit with budding stars like a Chase Brown. With an offensive line that's playing, as Zach Taylor said this week, the best it's played probably in his time here. And I think that's true. And you got a chance to have all those guys come back with another year under your belt, add some depth pieces to it for just in case, and you're set to go. I think that's the good part, is there's not much to address on offense. Could I get another wide receiver? Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I can live with what we got, because I think you can go back to some two tight end personnel stuff, especially if Eric All comes back and plays. It gives you a clear path to look on defense and go, okay, these are the fixes we have to make on defense. Not have to make on defense to get us better.
I was looking at a piece online that was talking about 8 players who could be playing their last game with the Bengals this week. So I'm going to go through this list of names, and I want you to give me one name for each. Who is most likely to be back next year out of this group, and who is least likely to be back? Joseph Osai, Cam Sample, Geno Stone, Jalen Davis, Dalton Reisner, Noah Fant, Tanner Hudson, Joe Flacco.
That's a great list, too. I'm going to go with Reisner as most likely to be back. I think they see value in him, and it gives you a chance to still groom Jalen Rivers. So I'm going to go Reisner is the most likely to come back. I think it's a perfect match.
He seems like he really wants to be back.
Yeah, no, he does. Yeah, he does. Absolutely. So I make him a fair offer, and I think he takes the fair offer and stays here knowing he's got a chance to play on a playoff team. The least likelies are interesting to me. I want to put Flacco in that group because I think he still wants to start, but there's also a part of me that Flacco can look and go, okay, this is a fun offense. If something happens to Joe Burrow, I might even have a chance to start in the playoffs with this offense and have one last hurrah, as opposed to going somewhere to be a bridge quarterback for a rookie that somebody drafts, and that team's usually going to be terrible, and I'm going to get the living daylights beat out of me. Give me the list one more time. I gave you Reisner already. Yeah.
Osai, Sample, Stone, and Davis on defense. Reisner, Fant, Hudson, and Flacco on offense.
I'll go Noah Fant. I think he was the guy they got this year to be the all-purpose tight end with Eric All out. I'm banking on Eric All coming back. That may not be logical because, again, he's coming off another major knee injury. But I think if they believe Eric All's healthy, Eric All fills the Noah Fant role, and Noah Fant is going to want to go play somewhere.
All right. Any other thoughts on the Bengals? We do have our pick'em segment to do real quick, but anything else from the Bengals segment here you want to get to?
Yeah, the other thing, I wrote this today. I don't know if it's online. It probably is by the time this podcast is up, about the performance of Dax Hill since he's gone back to outside corner. He's been super. And so you do have a nice cornerstone of corners next year to start with, outside corners with DJ Turner and Dax Hill. I could argue it might go into next year as one of the best tandems in the AFC. I really believe that. He's played at such a high level. DJ's played at a high level all season long. That's a good place to start, in my opinion. Now, the only thing is they're both up after 2026. They picked up Dax's fifth-year option, so he has one more year, and DJ's on the final year of his rookie deal. You're probably in that space with one of your offseason moves you have to make is looking to maybe re-up at least one of those guys, if not both.